UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev went down last night. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what happened in the fights, giving you guys my overall thoughts on the fights and who I think these guys should fight next. And yeah, man, this was an amazing card up until the last two fights. And then all momentum went out the window. Talk about a main card that was on fire, and then you throw a WMMA co-main, and things change. Let's get right into it, starting off with Islam Makhachev defeats Jack Della Maddalena by a 50-45 decision. This fight reminded me of the DDP versus Khamzat fight. Very similar. Islam went in there, took JDM down over and over and over again. JDM offered little resistance on the ground, and Islam just did what he wanted. He attempted a submission here and there, even though it says he has 0 sub attempts. JDM, very disappointed in his performance. This guy's another guy that trains with Craig Jones, like Volk did, but he wasn't able to get back to his feet most of the fight. He wasn't able to get off any offense, and even when he was on the feet, it just seemed like he was just so stiff and scared to throw at Makhachev, and I guess that's the power of the threat of the takedown, because Makhachev was just, didn't matter that he was moving up a weight class. He still seemed like the bigger, stronger fighter out there. He looked thick, and yeah, man, JDM just got bullied around in there by the quote-unquote smaller guy. And I picked JDM to win. My thought process, and now you can call me out and call me an idiot for this, but I was like, okay, Makhachev struggled to take down Dustin Poirier, who's never really had the best takedown defense. Dustin Poirier was able to get off a lot of those takedowns of Islam Makhachev and keep the fight standing. Surely JDM, who's a better boxer, arguably a better grappler, better takedown defense, better scrambles than Dustin Poirier, is going to be able to do the same. No, it turns out that Islam Makhachev not cutting weight is just unbeatable. And JDM, although I knew going into this fight, he was never really a guy with a lot of power, right? JDM, I never really thought he'd be able to switch Islam off with one hit. I thought maybe Islam moving up a weight class, not used to carrying all that extra size and muscle, might gas, and JDM would be able to stop him in the later rounds. But no, Islam said after the fight that he felt like he can go 10 rounds, and him not having to cut weight saved his gas tank, not made it worse. So it's interesting. Some guys, whenever they move up, they gas easier. Some guys, whenever they move down, they gas easier. Just depends on the fighter, I suppose. But nonetheless, this fight was like a repeat of DDP versus Khamzat. Champion gets taken down, can't do anything about it, doesn't change anything throughout the entire fight. It just felt like JDM, and maybe this is just the inner casual in me, but he didn't change anything. And his coaches were just like, come on, JDM, put some hands on this cunt, yeah? And it's like, bro, that's not good advice. You need to give him technical advice. They were just trying to be motivational speakers in the corner, and obviously that did not work, as JDM he was having a bit of deja vu. He would go out there, he would get taken down, try to get to his feet, wasn't able to. Islam would just follow him anywhere he went on the ground, maintain control, and beat him up. And as you can see, the total strike count's 140-30. Islam was 4 for 4 on his takedowns. So yeah, anytime he went for takedowns against JDM, he pretty much got it, obviously, 100% of the time. And even on the feet, whenever the fight was on the feet, in the moments they were, JDM offered no danger. He didn't. And you know what? Right out the gate, I saw Jack Della Maddalena. He came out pressuring Islam right away. I was like, all right, JDM's looking to pressure Islam. It was looking good. In the first 30 seconds of the fight, I was like, all right, JDM means business. He's going to back Islam up, put the pressure on him. But Islam shoots in on the takedown, gets it super easily, and it's like, all right, well, if he got that first takedown this easily, it's just going to be a long night for JDM. And that's exactly what it was, man. Islam did little to no damage. There's a lot of criticism on the Dagestani style of fighting where they get a takedown, they camp in half guard, they don't go for submissions. Although I'd argue he should have a couple submission attempts. I do think that Islam attempted a couple submissions, but give Islam a break, in my opinion. This is his only second decision win in 6 years. He's only fought Volk and JDM to a decision now. He's finished every other fight, and I don't think it's unfair to all of a sudden classify Islam as a crotch sniffer. Now, if he goes out there for the rest of his career and this is all his performances, it's like, okay. But I do think people are being a little bit too harsh. You can't expect at the top of the sport for guys to consistently finish everybody. I understand the whole camping and half guard thing can frustrate people, but listen, man, it is what it is. Islam Makhachev just proved to be the superior grappler to JDM. We thought that JDM that was able to stuff nearly all of Belal's takedowns and piece him up on the feet. And we were like, okay, well, if he can stuff Belal's takedowns, who's a pretty good wrestler in his own right, surely he can do something against Makhachev, who trains with Belal. But turns out Bilal's wrestling is extremely overrated. That's what we learned in this fight. I've always thought Bilal's grappling was kind of overrated. And maybe Islam's just that good, but dude, Islam made takedowns so effortlessly, easy against JDM that the fact that Belal couldn't take JDM down, it really makes you question how, like, is Bilal's wrestling really all that, or is he just fighting old, washed-up fighters over and over, or guys like Leon Edwards, who is now on a 3-fight losing streak? But you get my point. Very disappointed in JDM, as I was in DDP, whenever they pretty much had mirror performances against Khamzat and Islam Makhachev. And yeah, man, I guess JDM wasn't about that life all along. He just doesn't matter that he trained with Craig Jones. Doesn't matter that he's arguably the best boxer in welterweight history. Didn't matter because Islam just bullied him out there, took him down at will, did what he wanted to him, and JDM looked frustrated. I don't know. Can somebody clarify in the comments? Did he get injured? Because in the fight, like during rounds, I think rounds 4 and 5, like standing up before they go out for the next round, JDM had a menacing grimace on his face. Like he was like hurt, or like, I don't know if he was visibly frustrated, if he had an injury, but he looked like he was in a lot of pain. And I know Joe Rogan was making a big deal about Islam Makhachev chewing up the calf of JDM, which definitely played a factor in this fight. I do feel like JDM failed to check some of the early leg kicks, which did bust up his calf pretty good. And obviously, he didn't switch stances as much as he should have, and he just kept getting his calf beat up. But yeah, the story of this fight, Islam Makhachev takedown, Islam Makhachev dominate rest of round, and repeat. That was the entire fight. I wouldn't call it a good fight, especially when you look at the fights prior outside the co-main event. This was not a great fight. It was kind of a snoozer to watch. Not the best ending to an MSG card. Not the most exciting, but Islam Makhachev achieves double champ status. And yeah, he joins the short list of fighters who have done so. As far as who's next for these guys, JDM, dude, there's so many options. I really don't know. Welterweight's on fire. Maybe you could do JDM versus Brady since they're both coming off a loss. And for Islam, I hate the Kamaru Usman title shot. Kamaru Usman is 1-3 in his last 4. He's had one fight in the last 2 years. He beat Buckley, who's not a top 5 fighter. And since when do we award fighters who are 1-3 in their last 4? Islam, before the fight, said he would like to face off against Kamaru Usman in his first title defense because he's the hardest fight, and he thinks Kamaru Usman beats all those other guys. I hate that, man. I hate it. Why are we rewarding a guy being inactive and being 1-3 in his last 4? For me, Islam Makhachev, there's plenty other options. He can face Prates. He can face Topuria. He can face Ian Gary if he were to beat Belal. He can face Michael Morales. Like, there's so many options. You can face Carlos Prates. Dude, there's so many options at welterweight. Don't give it to Kamaru Usman. I know Ali Abdelaziz is rubbing his little peanut head like, I'm going to get double payday for Islam versus Kamaru Usman. But no, we don't want to see that fight. I want to see Islam versus a good challenge and not just former pound for pound versus current pound for pound. No, and no. Kamaru Usman needs another win, in my opinion. Even Islam versus Shavkat would be a hell of a fight. But yeah, that's the main event, guys. Jack Della Maddalena gets dominated, kind of gets exposed and schooled in the grappling, and Islam is a double champ. Let's get on to that co-main event. Good grief. This stole all the momentum of the card. Going into this fight, we had so much momentum, so much hype. We had finish after finish, and then you get Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Now, I picked Zhang Weili, so I got the co-main and the main wrong, unfortunately. I picked Zhang Weili. Man, Valentina was just too big, too strong, too good. Zhang Weili literally couldn't do anything. She just got taken down over and over and controlled on the ground and couldn't do anything. She kept trying, but Valentina, once again, proving that she's just the most dominant female fighter in the sport right now. But is it fun to watch? No. Am I entertained by WMMA? No. Is the WMMA hate forced? No, not at all. It's warranted, man. They've only finished fights like 20% of the time, so there's no finishing. They strike like they're underwater, and you get lopsided title fights like this. And I thought Zhang Weili would be able to take it to Valentina. She would be able to outskill her on the ground because I thought Zhang Weili was going to be stronger. But little did I know she'd be extremely outmatched in the size, and Valentina would just do what she wants for 5 rounds. And once again, 37-year-old Valentina Shevchenko just beating everybody. The fact that Valentina Shevchenko lost to Grasso almost makes me wonder if fight rigging is a thing. She lost to Alexa Grasso, bro. Think about that. Alexa Grasso. Anyways, Valentina Shevchenko defeats Zhang Weili by a decision. Not much else to say, man. It was boring. This was a bathroom break kind of fight. This was a got to go listen to a few voicemails on my phone that I didn't get to kind of fight. Like, who cares? I was hoping we got a scrap. I was hoping we got a WMMA fight of the year. We didn't get that. Valentina retains. I think Zhang Weili should either retire or go back down to bantamweight. And for Valentina, I guess you do her versus Natalia Silva. Let's get on before I fall asleep to Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. Now, I got the last 3 fights wrong because I picked Sean Brady to expose the grappling of Michael Morales and be able to get him out of there. But it turns out that Sean Brady forgot that he's a grappler because he didn't shoot a single takedown in this fight. Now, you could credit that to the fact that Michael Morales very intelligently came into this fight with a very low stance with his hips really far back. So it was really hard for the shorter guy in Sean Brady to even try a takedown because Michael Morales has an insane reach for welterweight. It's like 79 inches, I think, 78 inches. He also has extreme leg reach. So Sean Brady, the really shorter guy, getting in on the takedown of Michael Morales, it's easier said than done. I understand that. But Sean Brady didn't even seem to attempt to try to create contact or try to, like, make an effort to get in there. Like, Sean Brady had to know in this fight he was outmatched on the feet, right? This is the same guy that got finished by Bilal Muhammad. I picked Sean Brady off of the fact that, or what I thought would be the fact that he would be able to out-grapple Michael Morales if he got a hold of him. He would be able to get him to the ground, kind of expose the grappling, despite Michael Morales having a grappling background in judo. But didn't matter, man. Michael Morales, too dangerous. 19-0. He finishes Sean Brady just a minute and a half into the first round. Knocks him down, finishes him by TKO, and yeah, it sucks, man, because I was really high on Sean Brady maybe becoming the next American champ. This guy has amazing grappling. What he did to Leon Edwards was nothing short of spectacular, but Leon Edwards' win isn't aging all that well, is it? But yeah, man, Michael Morales just too young, too tall, too fast, too dangerous, and anything this guy touches goes to sleep. So this guy's dangerous. He's probably a future champ, which is unfortunate because I don't want a guy who paints his nails and wears purple shorts and is a little zesty out there. Listen, man, there's better representations for the sport in terms of a champ. This guy calls himself Ecuadorian, but he trains out of Tijuana, Mexico. What's that all about, Ecuador? What's your guy doing not training in Ecuador? I'm joking, guys. Michael Morales is obviously a great fighter. He is a little bit zesty, which I wish I could say otherwise, but he's a great fighter. He shows love to his mom. Gotta love whenever fighters respect their parents and their upbringing, so he knocks out Sean Brady in the first round, minute and a half, and he makes it look damn near easy. Like, this was an easy fight for Michael Morales. He's making every fight look easy. He's destroying Gilbert Burns in the first round. He's knocking out Neil Magny. Now he's knocking out Sean Brady. I mean, who's going to stop this guy? It's going to take a well-placed takedown to get this guy on his back and to dominate him on the ground or finish him by submission. Because if Michael Morales gets his way and keeps the fight standing, this guy is dangerous for anybody in the division. He can knock out anybody in the division. He has the death touch. He has insane reach. And he even has a grappling background. So who's going to beat this guy? And he's only 25 years old, which is even more insane. And he's 19-0. And yeah, man. Maybe you do Michael Morales versus Carlos Prates next. Knockout artist versus knockout artist. Who would be the guy to get one up over each other? And for Sean Brady, maybe you do the Bilal Muhammad rematch. Whether he wins or loses against Ian Gary. Do Sean Brady versus Bilal Muhammad rematch. Let's see if Sean Brady can beat Canelo hands Bilal Muhammad and show that fight was a fluke and nothing more than a fluke. But Michael Morales knocks out Sean Brady. He makes it look easy. I rooted for Sean Brady. I was hoping maybe we can get the next American champ. This guy showed amazing grappling versus Leon Edwards, the only guy to submit Leon, but it didn't matter. Michael Morales, too good, too dangerous. He knocks out Sean Brady in the first round. Let's get on to Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Now, I disagree with the narrative going into this fight. You had the dorks on Reddit, the dorks on Twitter, the dorks in the YouTube comment sections. Dude, I don't know, man. Leon Edwards, people are disrespecting him, man. They forget how good of a striker Leon is. Just stop, dude. Leon Edwards is unmotivated. He's 34 years old. He's got to the title. He's been there, done that. He got dominated in his last 2 fights. In what world was Leon Edwards going to go out there and be Mr. Pretty Technical and outstrike and beat Carlos Prates? I didn't see it. Ian Gary is miles above Leon Edwards in terms of the striking. I'm sorry. Leon Edwards is Mr. Pretty, Mr. Technical, and if he doesn't have everything wrapped in a pretty little bow in his striking, it falls apart. I mean, even Nate Diaz rocked this guy. I was never more confident that Carlos Prates was going to go out there and knock out Leon Edwards. I really thought he would get a knockout. Now, I said decision, but I'm not surprised. Leon Edwards tried to implement his grappling in this fight, which there was a moment in the fight where Leon got on Carlos Prates' back and he was like hitting him with these little punches. And Prates was like, really, dude? He was like, I'm going to take a nap here. But Leon Edwards was able to get 2 or 3 takedowns in the first round. And I was like, hold up. Leon Edwards is about to put on a grappling clinic. Leon Edwards is about to have a y'all must have forgot I have grappling type performance. But Carlos Prates came out in round 2 and I think he landed like a stiff left hand. It almost seemed like a jab, but it was a stiff left hand. Leon Edwards like falls backwards. He literally lifts Leon Edwards off his feet. The power of Carlos Prates is insane. Lifts Leon Edwards off his feet. Leon Edwards' head bounces off the canvas. It almost looks like Leon smiling. Carlos Prates lands up a follow-up shot. Not even needed. Leon Edwards is out cold with his eyes rolled back. Carlos Prates knocks out Leon Edwards in round 2, a minute and a half into the round, or 3.5 minutes into the round. And Leon Edwards is now on a 3-fight losing streak. And this guy is having a generational fall off from UFC champion and unbeaten in like what, 10 years or 9 years, and now to a 3-fight losing streak, getting dominated and beaten all 3 of his last fights. It's unfortunate, man, but I've always thought Leon Edwards was a little bit overrated. Yeah, he had the Usman win in the 3rd fight, but man, the Colby Covington performance was kind of pathetic, right? The Nate Diaz performance was good, but you got rocked by Nate Diaz, never a good look. I don't know, man. A lot of Leon's fights coming up to the title, it always seemed like he fought to the level of his opponent. He did just enough, but he never was able to like dominate guys. So I don't know. I didn't think Leon Edwards is motivated anymore at this point in his career. I don't care how good his physique looks coming into the fight. He didn't seem as motivated. And Carlos Prates has never been champ. He's never been there and done that. So this guy's hungry. He's looking to knock everybody out. Yeah, he lost to Ian Gary, but it's Ian Gary. I think Ian Gary is probably one of the most underrated fighters in the division. Very hard to beat, but yeah, man, Carlos Prates becomes the first guy ever to knock out Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has never been knocked out in his entire career. He was submitted. I think this is the first time Sean Brady submitted Leon Edwards for the first time, and now Prates knocks him out for the first time. So Leon Edwards is breaking all sorts of first times in his career, and it's unfortunate for Carlos Prates. Maybe you do him versus Michael Morales next. Somebody's got to lose, right? Maybe you do. Maybe you give Prates a title shot. I doubt that, but who knows what the UFC is going to do. Makhachev versus Prates would be a weird fight. And if Ian Gary wins, he arguably deserves it over Prates, being that he has a win over him. But we will see what happens. For Leon Edwards, man, I think you really got to consider hanging up the gloves, you know? This is, like I said, this is his 3rd loss in a row. Not just losing, getting finished and embarrassed in front of his hometown in London, and now getting knocked out on the grand stage in MSG. Maybe you do one final send-off for Leon Edwards in like in a main event in the UK. I don't know, man, but to me, it's not always about like having to go on a 5-fight losing streak in order to hang it up. Leon Edwards is 34 years old. He's been there, done that. He's never getting back to the belt. So unless he's just fighting for money, what's his motivation at this point? He's taking brutal losses. He's getting embarrassed in London. He's getting knocked out now. Why keep fighting? You know, start a gym. There's other avenues of money for Leon Edwards. He doesn't even fight that often anyways. Maybe one more final send-off for Leon and he can pack it up. 34 years old, been there, done that, got the belt. Stop Kamaru Usman in his tracks. So, yeah, Carlos Prates gets it done. Very impressive win. Only guy to knock out Leon Edwards. And, yeah, man, Carlos Prates just too damn dangerous. Unless you're Ian Gary, this guy's striking is extremely dangerous. And even Ian Gary almost got him out of there in the 5th round. But Carlos Prates is the first fighting nerd to bounce back and show, hey, man, I'm not all hype. I got a bad loss to Ian Gary, but I'm back, and I knocked out Jeff Neal and Leon Edwards back-to-back. And that's it. Let's get on to the next fight. Beniel Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I switched my pick on this fight the day before the fight because I saw Beniel Dariush was having weight issues. And once I saw that, I was like, nope, I'm picking Benoit Saint-Denis by KO. I knew it, man. I knew it. Beniel Dariush, a guy who's already chinny in his career. Let's not forget, Beniel Dariush made us all think that Arman Tsarukyan somehow now has power because Arman Tsarukyan knocked him out with one punch. And, yeah, Benoit Dariush having weight issues, missing weight whenever he was already a guy that was chinny that got dropped by Moicano. I knew that if BSD just touched his chin once, it would be dangerous. And what do you know? BSD literally 16 seconds into the fight lands a big, I think it was a right hand. It might have been a left. I don't remember. I was tired last night, guys. Cut me a break. He lands a big right hand, and yeah, he face plants Benoit Dariush, and the fight's called off immediately. Benoit Dariush seemed to protest for a little bit, but like, no, bro, you went face first, ass up into the canvas, and that's never a good look. If you go face down or face plant into the canvas and the ref stops it, you can't be mad at that. And even when Benoit Dariush got up, he was on wobbly legs, kind of didn't know where he was. So, yeah, man, Benoit Saint-Denis is on a bit of a resurgence ever since losing to Moicano. He's come back. He's fraud-checked Roofy. Now he's knocked out BSD. He's going to officially be a top 10 fighter. Now, do I think that BSD is going to be a champion? No. Absolutely not. I think he loses to guys like Topuria. He loses to guys like Arman Sarukian. Probably maybe even Paddy Pimblett, because Paddy Pimblett has a capable grappling. I don't know, but yeah. BSD, I still think his striking looks like he's kind of striking underwater whenever he's facing a good striker, and you see that a lot of the times. He was able to implement the grappling versus Roofy, and yeah, man, he knocks out Benoit Dariush. I mean, obviously, Benoit Dariush has been brutally finished so many times in his career, guys. Let me count him down for you guys. He's been KO'd by Alexander Hernandez, out cold. He's been flying kneed by Edson Barboza, out cold. He's been TKO'd by Charles Oliveira in a pretty brutal finish. He's been knocked out cold by Arman Sarukian. Now he's been face planted by BSD. I think Benoit Dariush at 36 years old, he should pack it up and retire. This guy has a family. He's never getting to the belt. Love Beniel, a fan of his career, but you've got to be real with yourself, man. You've been knocked out brutally 5 times now. I think it's time for Beniel to hang it up. And for BSD, man, this is an amazing win. 16-second KO. This guy took no damage. He can probably get back in there really soon, early 2026. Maybe you can do like, I don't know, I'd have to look at the rankings. I can't think off the top of my head, but maybe you can do like Benoit Saint-Denis versus Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje's going to be pissed that I even suggested that if he was able to see this video. But listen, man, Justin Gaethje, bro, you ain't getting a title shot sitting around crying about it. Maybe he will. I don't know. But BSD, man, now a top 10 fighter written off by a lot of us. I thought that Roofy was going to flatline BSD. I originally thought that Benoit Dariush was going to beat him until he missed weight. And I was like, okay, BSD is going to fold this guy. But BSD, he's largely probably a little underrated these days just because of how bad he got beaten by Moicano. People had a hard time, and he got knocked out by Poirier. People had a hard time thinking this guy was ever going to be anything special. But he proves us wrong once again. Well, he proved me right because I did think he was going to fold Benoit Dariush. But he proves a lot of people wrong and saying, hey, I'm not a fraud. I'm back. I'm on a win streak now, and I'm in the top 10. So, yeah. BSD's dangerous for anybody. He's a great grappler. He's got power in his hands. Not the best striker, but yeah, let's see who they feed him to next. And like I said, for Dariush, I think he should retire. Let's get on to the next fight. Bo Nickal versus Rodolfo Veira. Now, I predicted that Bo Nickal would win this fight, but he would find a way to make it lackluster. Now, I was wrong. Respect to Bo Nickal. This is how you bounce back. He got a third-round head kick, brutal head kick KO against Rodolfo Veira. This is exactly what Bo Nickal needs, and the UFC was very smart to put this guy in the prelims. Stop putting Bo Nickal on the main card. It's what's making the fans hate him. We don't want Bo Nickal shoved down our throats and forcing us to be fans of Bo Nickal. Let it happen naturally. Stop sticking this guy on main cards of 308, main cards of UFC 300. This is why he's getting so much hate from the fans and some of the comments he makes, obviously. But Bo Nickal actually knocked out Rodolfo Veira, jumps on the cage, flips off the crowd, which I thought was pretty funny, but he had a pretty good post-fight speech. And in the fight, man, he was just able to beat up Rodolfo Veira on the feet. And even at one point, I think it was in the first round, he like took Rodolfo Veira and like slammed him on the ground, almost like a F you to the fans. Like, oh, you don't think I have wrestling? Let me show you I can just manhandle this guy, which was pretty funny. Rodolfo Veira, obviously a jiu-jitsu ace. Bo Nickal, even in the first round or the second round, I think he even got Rodolfo Veira and would look like a guillotine. But Rodolfo Veira, too smart, too slick. He's not going to get guillotined by Bo Nickal. But didn't matter. Bo Nickal just a step ahead the entire fight. Bo Nickal seemed like he was fighting with more like oomph on all of his strikes, right? He was looking to hurt Rodolfo Veira. He was looking to almost destroy him, knock him out. And yeah, man, Bo Nickal gets it done. He gets a brutal head kick finish. I think Bo Nickal needed this. He needed a finish. He needed his confidence back. He just got destroyed by Rainer de Ritter in the second round, I believe, and kind of made look a fool, and the fans were laughing at him because they were like, this is the guy that's going to beat Hamzat. This guy quit at the first sign of adversity. And Bo Nickal goes out there, beats up Rodolfo Veira, and head kick KOs him. Now, I expected Bo Nickal to win by kind of like a lackluster, keep it on the feet, outstrike Rodolfo Veira, who's not the best striker, and lull us to sleep and get another boring performance. But he proved me wrong, man. He proved a lot of people wrong because he came out there with purpose. It felt like Bo Nickal was out there to be dangerous. He was out there to look for a finish. He wasn't out there trying to be Mr. Pitter-Patter, trying to spam overhand rights. He had some kicks in his game this time around, and it showed. A brutal head kick KO. Now, is this a win that automatically makes me think that Bo Nickal's all of a sudden going to come back and destroy Hamzat? No, not at all. I think he still has a long way to go in terms of striking and his grappling, and a lot of guys in the rankings are going to give him a lot of trouble, but he can pass the test of like a Rodolfo Vieira, but can he pass the test of like a Joe Pyfer? Can he pass the test of a Jared Cannonier and those guys in the rankings? I don't know. We need to see Bo Nickal and the evolution of his game continue to grow. I think that the UFC should slowly build this guy up. Stop trying to force him into big fights right away. He's going to lose. He's only been training MMA for 3 or 4 years. So good win by Bo Nickal. Knocks out Rodolfo Vieira. Brutal head kick. If you haven't seen this, go back and watch it. It was a sick head kick KO. Kind of a walk-off one too. Shout out to Bo Nickal. He gets it done. Let's get on to Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodrigues, a.k.a. former President Obama. I pick Gregory Rodrigues to win this fight either by decision or KO, and he did exactly that, man. Roman Kopylov, he's a good kicker, but it's not many people, unless you can knock Gregory Rodrigues out, there's not many people that's going to beat this guy in a 3-round fight. And to my surprise, and a lot of people's surprise, Gregory Rodrigues actually was entertaining the grappling in this fight. People don't know that Gregory Rodrigues is a very slick grappler, and he has some dangerous grappling, but he hasn't had a submission win since 2018, so a lot of people forget. People forget, man, that Gregory Rodrigues is a capable grappler. And he was actually trying to take down Roman Kopylov unsuccessfully, but when it was on the feet, he was cracking Roman Kopylov. He was a step ahead the whole time. And yeah, man, not much to say about this fight. Obama was just a step ahead. He was cracking Kopylov. Yeah, he was the harder puncher, and I think he was even the faster fighter. And in a 3-round fight, he's not going to gas out. He manages gas tank better than he has in other fights. And the fact that Gregory Rodrigues and Roman Kopylov are the same age kind of baffles me. Both these guys are 33. Listen, I like Gregory Rodrigues. This guy looks 50. I don't know. I don't know what if he's smoking cigarettes like Carlos Prates in his free time. This guy's having a beer each night, but man, Gregory Rodrigues is not aging well. But his wins are. So he beats Roman Kopylov. And I picked Gregory Rodrigues off of the simple fact that Roman Kopylov made Paulo Costa look like an elite fighter in 2025. There's no shot I was going to pick this guy. Chase Hooper at middleweight. Listen, guy's kind of cooked. And I don't know what you do next for Roman Kopylov. Maybe you do Bo Nickal versus Roman Kopylov. Maybe that's the next fight. And for Gregory Rodrigues, we'll see, man. Maybe you do him versus Joe Pyfer. I don't know. But good fight. Gregory Rodrigues easily beats Roman Kopylov. Just more powerful, faster, a step ahead the entire fight. He gets it done by decision. Let's get on to Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Now, I'm glad that Tracy Cortez got submitted in this fight, and here's why. It's not because... Never mind what I was going to say. I'm glad that Tracy Cortez got submitted in this fight because she thought she would be cool and be like, Islam's on this card? Islam Makhachev is the main event? Huh, that's funny. I didn't even know he was the main event. Well, guess what? Now you know he's the main event because you got submitted by Erin Blanchfield, which is a girl you already had a win over 6 years ago. Tracy Cortez is more worried about her eyebrows than she is her MMA career, and that's never been more clear. I don't know, man. Tracy Cortez, listen, bro. She's a 7 out of 10 at best. Like, people like to goon over this girl and say, like, she's like the cream of the crop when it comes to MMA baddies and MMA pretty girls. First of all, I think the standards for WMMA fighters looks on the look scale is definitely the standards are lowered. Because, like, Tracy Cortez in real life would be like a 6 or a 7. But in MMA world, she's like a 10. That's just how fans look at it. I've always thought she has kind of a square face. But anyways, I'm talking about her looks. Listen, bro. Respect to Tracy Cortez. She's a solid fighter. She has solid boxing. Erin Blanchfield was able to go in there, work the grappling in the second round, get her down, get a submission, tap her out, and there's not much else to say out there outside of the Tracy Cortez Gooners being very disappointed in her performance. Let's get on to this fight. Oh my goodness. Ethyn Ewing defeats Malcom Wellmaker by a decision. First of all, this was fight of the night. Yes, Malcom Wellmaker got fraud checked by a guy who stepped in on 2 days' notice, who had just fought a week prior in the regional scene. Ethyn Ewing just came in, and he won a lot of people over. This guy, first of all, if you look at his head, if I would have just looked at this guy's head and looked at any of his highlights, I might have picked him to beat Wellmaker, but even then I probably wouldn't have. Wellmaker was KOing everybody, but Ethyn Ewing, he just has that block head that you just know he's going to be hard to finish. You just know that you're not just going to be able to knock this guy out cold. Some people have a little peanut head, like, who has a little peanut head that gets knocked down easy? I can't think of anybody, but you guys know the peanut heads or the little bitty heads, like maybe Dustin Poirier. It has got that little head about him that makes it to where they can easily get dropped or knocked down. Something about this guy, Ethyn Ewing's head, and it's just a melon-shaped head. It just looks like he would be hard to knock down or finish. And yeah, man, he comes in on 2 days' notice. I can't even stress how impressive this is. Malcom Wellmaker, undefeated prospect, knocking out everybody, knocking out what's his name, Chris Moutinho, knocking out I can't even remember. I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, Malcom Wellmaker knocked out Cameron Simon. He's knocking out everybody. And the assumption by myself and a lot of the MMA fans was like, okay, Malcom Wellmaker is knocking out everybody. No shot this random schmuck is going to come on 2 days' notice and be able to withstand the power of Malcom Wellmaker. But guess what? The schmuck that is Ethyn Ewing did just that. He went to Madison Square Garden on 2 days' notice. He took on Malcom Wellmaker and he dominated the fight, man. Let's call it what it is. He won all 3 rounds, in my opinion. He was able to initiate the grappling. He was able to win the striking exchanges. And I think that we've all kind of realized that Malcom Wellmaker is a bit of a hook merchant. This guy spams hooks. And I've always kind of said that the second that Malcom Wellmaker's hooks don't work and they don't knock a guy down or threaten with a finish, what's going to happen whenever Malcom Wellmaker fights a guy who doesn't get knocked down the first time he lands a hook? And that's exactly what you saw in this fight. Malcom Wellmaker got outskilled and out-techniqued by the better striker in Ethyn Ewing on 2 days' notice, man. I can't stress how impressive this is. Malcom Wellmaker was on a hell of a run, knocking out everybody, and Ethyn Ewing on 2 days' notice gets it done. This guy, Ethyn Ewing, might be a problem, boys. I don't know. And you can't necessarily say because he beat Malcom Wellmaker that he's all of a sudden going to be a champion, but listen, man, depending on his next fight, this guy could be a potential contender at bantamweight in the future. Coming in on 2 days' notice, beating a prospect like Wellmaker who's undefeated. Not many. How many times have you seen the guy on short notice that steps in on 3 days' notice, 5 days' notice, go in there and get completely destroyed? That's why I think this is so impressive, because typically speaking, what feels like 80 to 90% of the time, the short notice replacement almost always gets destroyed by the prospect. And not this time. Ethyn Ewing outstrikes, out-techniques, out-grapples Malcom Wellmaker to a 30-27 decision. Very impressive that he had the better cardio despite taking the fight on 2 days' notice. And what an opportunity for this guy who has a family to step in on MSG on short notice and be able to get a win and make his UFC debut and arguably get a bonus. I don't know if he got a bonus, let me know, but that was arguably fight of the night. That was a good scrap, and Ethyn Ewing gets it done. And the last fight I want to cover, Cal Daukaus versus Gerald Meerschaert, a.k.a. Mr. Beast. Now, I know Cal Daukaus was a favorite, but if you literally wanted free money and you had a lot of money, you could have bet like 10 grand on Cal Daukaus by finish and got back, what, like 11 grand, 12 grand, because he was a pretty heavy favorite. But I was never in my entire life more confident that Gerald Meerschaert would lose. Gerald Meerschaert is nearly 38 years old. This guy has damn near 60 MMA fights, and he's the new Anthony Smith. Anytime he gets hit, he immediately curls up into a ball. Pretty much the first shot that Cal Daukaus landed on Gerald Meerschaert, he got cracked, he goes down. Cal Daukaus switches to a submission, and yeah, he finishes Gerald Meerschaert by submission. He submitted the middleweight submission king, and I'm not surprised, man. There's no way in hell Gerald Meerschaert was winning this fight. He's just not the same guy. I kind of feel like Khamzat Chimaev took Gerald Meerschaert's soul back in, 2020, whenever he knocked him out in 17 seconds. Ever since then, Gerald Meerschaert just ain't been the same guy. GM3, he's kind of cooked. I think he should retire. If not, he's probably going to get cut from the UFC. So many miles on the tank. And for Cal Daukaus, man, this guy got cut from the UFC. He's made a comeback. I think that's his 3rd win in the UFC since coming back. Knocking out Michelle Pereira. Now knocking out almost knocking out Gerald Meerschaert, then submitting him. And if you pick Gerald Meerschaert, you're just a moron. And you shouldn't pick fights. I know, coming from a guy and myself who's like 5-17 on main events. Listen, bro. Prelims are a different ball game. I knew Cal Daukaus had it in the bag. And yeah, man, that pretty much wraps up UFC 322. A pretty good card. Very disappointing that the last 2 fights have to be extreme snooze fest. I kind of expected a snooze fest from Valentina and Weili, even though I was kind of hoping that it would be like a barn burner, but it wasn't. And then Islam Makhachev just out-grappling JDM to a very dull, dominant decision. Unfortunate ending to the card, but man, the knockouts. Michael Morales versus Sean Brady. Prates versus Edwards. BSD versus Dariush. Those knockouts, just very beautiful, very MSG-esque, the Bo Nickal knockout. We got 4 knockouts in a row. That's actually crazy. We got 4 knockouts in a row into 2 snoozer decisions at the end of the card. So it wouldn't be a proper UFC card if it wasn't ended in 2 snoozing decisions. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the card. Up until the co-main and main event, I had this card as a literal 9 or 10 out of 10. An amazing card. But I think the co-main and main event brought it down to like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Call me spoiled. Call me ungrateful, but I was very disappointed in the last 2 results of the last 2 fights of this card. Overall, I give the card an 8 out of 10. That's my final grading of the card. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, that's it, guys. I'm out. Peace.